Alright guys, in this video we're going to be covering the Soundee and Zapier integration. Now Zapier is a really popular tool that's kind of like a third-party connector for multiple tools. So essentially what that means is that you can take data from Soundee and connect it really anywhere you want in terms of like email marketing providers, things with Google Sheets, and there's just a bunch of apps you can connect to with Zapier. And you can even do stuff like send yourself a text message when you get a sale just like this. So anyways, let's get into some of the basic knowledge with Zapier for today's video.
All right, guys, so let's get into everything. So like I mentioned, definitely do some research about just understanding what Zapier is. It's basically the middleman for connecting different apps. And ultimately, it gives you a lot of freedom to really take data, put it anywhere you want. And you might be like, why would I want to take data? Why would I need to put it anywhere? So this video is going to be pretty in-depth with trying to get you in like the right direction of where you'd want to go and some certain use cases you have with like some general things. And then I'll even go into some more, I guess, intermediate or advanced uses of Zapier that really help once you get to a certain point. So first thing in Zapier essentially is you have a trigger and you have an action. So the trigger is like what's going to cause the Zap to run, and the action is like what does the Zap actually do. So essentially their example is like having new leads from a Facebook lead ads go to Google Sheet and then email the lead in Gmail. So it's like multiple steps of things happening. So our trigger is we just type in Soundee, and now here we go. And then it's going to ask us to choose an event. So we have the events over here. So we have a cart abandonment, email capture, new transaction, and then when we click on a new transaction, you'll see it's going to ask for the account here. So let me just do that. But then it's also going to ask, okay, is it a new sale or a refund? You're never going to have to worry about refunds for this, but it's there. You're always going to choose a new sale. This is what we're going to use for post-purchase. And there's email capture. And when you click on this, it's going to say, okay, there's a transaction. This is just a default name and email. This isn't what we use for post-purchase, but it's there. There's free download, there's store email opt-in, and there's exit intent opt-in. So I actually made this drawing of essentially these are the Soundee triggers that you have inside of Zapier. Whenever someone free downloads a beat, whenever someone does a store email opt-in on your page builder, whenever someone fills in the exit intent email opt-in, when someone ever abandons a cart, and whenever someone becomes a customer. So let's explain these more. So essentially the free download email collection. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to take the email that free downloaded our beat and send them to our email marketing provider with a tag. Okay, tags essentially help us identify contacts, and what we can do is tags can also trigger automated sequences to begin. So we want to mark this person as a free download, and then we want to start an automation that's going to say, hey, thanks for free downloading my beat, right? So let me just show you guys what this actually looks like with how we did stuff for the Soundee launch program, so that way you can actually get an understanding of what this is. So here we go, right? This essentially, we're jumping to this point when the free download tag is added. So essentially this automation is being triggered. And then what it does is it sends out this email essentially right after somebody free downloads a beat. So because, right, that action happens, Zapier picks up that action. Zapier is then going to tag that contact for us in our email marketing provider. That person then receives this email because they started this email sequence because Zapier tagged them with this tag, and this tag is what triggers the sequence. And so once you understand the logic, that it's basically just Zapier is pretty much there to tag our contacts as they come in with each individual and unique step. These tags then trigger email marketing sequences based off of like their action, right? Someone who free downloads a beat, we don't want them to get an email saying, hey, thanks for buying a beat, because they free downloaded a beat. They didn't buy a beat, right? So it's kind of the journey, so to speak. And then the store email collection. So same exact thing, right? We want this to essentially, we want Zapier to send the email that's signed up to our email marketing provider with a tag that lets us know they've opted in for our email list on our Beat store. And this tag should trigger a sequence in the email marketing provider, right? And so this is on the page builder of the banner. So let me just pull this up real quick. So usually what this would be is if you want to have one that actually converts at a higher percentage, you usually want to give something for free here. So this says, let's connect, subscribe to my email list. Yours might say like, hey, get a free beat pack. And so essentially when you promise something there, the email sequence that gets triggered by the tag, that email sequence should contain the free beat pack, right? So let me just pull this up and I'll show you guys. So what we do is we have people tag with store email opt-in, and then it goes ahead and it adds the subscriber to the sequence where it delivers the 5 free beats, right? So simple there again. Then you have your X intent email collection. So same exact thing, right? We want Zapier to send the email that's signed up into our email marketing provider with a unique tag that lets us know they've opted in from the X intent coupon pop-up, and that should trigger a sequence that then delivers that coupon, right? And so same exact thing is there, right? There's a specific tag that gets added that triggers email marketing sequences, or just one sequence, I should say, based off what action they took. Email marketing for abandoned cart, this is where things get a little bit different. So once again, we want Zapier to send an email to your email marketing provider with a tag that lets us know they've abandoned their cart, and this should trigger the abandoned cart sequence. But what's important is that within the Soundee workflow, within our email sequence, we also need to send them their personal unique cart link to recover their cart. So what I'm going to show you is that within your email marketing provider, you're going to need to have something that can store custom fields. And essentially what we can do is custom fields can store data per individual contact, right? So essentially whenever someone abandons their cart, what we can do with custom fields is we'll say, hey, this is the abandoned cart link I want you to store for each individual customer. And then we need to put that back into our email marketing automations so that way the customer can then access their cart and buy from us. And then with a purchase, same thing, right? We want the email to be sent to our email marketing provider with a tag that lets us know they've purchased from us. That tag should then trigger an email marketing sequence in our provider of like, hey, you bought the beat. Now, the thing about it is that Soundee gives us a lot of data points about our customers rather than just name and email. So once again, we can use custom fields to store custom data about like which license they purchased, the date of their purchase, and personalize emails to them. So this is just some kind of general things to know about email marketing logic and how we're setting everything up and how we recommend you do it. Is essentially you want these triggers to just individually tag people, and then those tags should be linked to starting email marketing sequences in your email marketing provider. Now, because I mentioned there was some specific things when it comes to abandoned cart, with, like I said, we need to get the individual contact back to their unique cart link to recover their cart and complete their purchase. I'm actually going to explain to you kind of what this looks like first so we can work from here. So what we're going to choose is the event of cart abandonment, and then choose your account, click on continue, and then it's going to ask you to test the trigger. If once you click this, it says that there's no data, what you need to do is go into a new incognito window, paste the link to your website here. As you'll see, I'm not signed in, and then just do the email opt-in of entering your name and an email address. So just like this, and then click on subscribe me. And then all you want to do is just add a beat to the carts, go to checkout, and then just exit out. Now, Soundee takes about 30 to 45, maybe up to an hour for this to go through. So that way it takes a time before a cart is considered abandoned, just because if someone is like not active for 5 minutes, you don't want an email going out that early. So wait a few minutes, 30, 45, maybe an hour, and then check, and you should have some test data there. And then once you do, just do continue with the selected record. Now it's going to ask, okay, what action do you want to do next? So this is where we now want to put that contact in our email marketing provider. So we use ConvertKit, so that's what we're going to type in here is ConvertKit. Now it needs an event. So there's a whole list of events that we can choose from here, but what we always do is add tag to subscriber. Whichever email marketing provider you're using, there should be something similar to this to add a tag to a subscriber. So cool, once we do that, it's gonna ask, okay, now choose your account. So let's use my Sound Design Beats accounts. Click on continue. And now here is where we have some custom things that I want to run you through here. So the first thing, it's going to ask you of, okay, what tag do you want to tag this person? And so if we go to our abandoned cart flow, right, we have a flow that starts based off when someone gets the tag abandoned cart start. So I want to tag people who abandon their cart with the tag abandoned cart start. So that way, when they join my email list, they're automatically going to start this sequence of where we try to get them to recover their carts. Then it's going to say, okay, well, we need an email. So we're going to type in the email. And then same thing, the first name. Now this didn't pick up a first name, so there's no first name there. And what we need to do is there's some custom fields in here, like I said, because of how we built out the Soundee launch program as a separate sort of product at Heat. But what you need to do is in your email marketing provider, you should be able to create something such as custom fields. So if I go into this email here, you'll see that there's all these, there's email first name, and there's a bunch of custom things that we have done so that way we can store data. So in ConvertKit, you do add new field, and we'll just say test abandoned cart URL. We'll click on update subscriber. And so what we'll do now is I'll refresh this and it should pull in test abandoned cart. And then what we do is we tell Soundee, look for the recover URL direct checkout. And this right there is the link that the customer would access to access their cart on the checkout page to recover it. So if I click on continue here, and let me just turn this off so that way the contact won't actually go into this since it's Rujay's contact. Okay, so I'm gonna test this, and what you'll see is that it's gonna add a subscriber to my list of the email. It's gonna pull in their abandoned cart URL, and it's also gonna tag them with abandoned cart start, which means they would have started the abandoned cart automation. So now what's important to note as well is in this email automation we have, right? What it does is it says, hey, I noticed you didn't complete your purchase, complete checkout here. What we have to do is we have to link this button to the personalization field of the abandoned cart. So it'd be test abandoned cart. This is like the liquid code that essentially this will pull in whatever that contact's URL or whatever their data is for that field. So if I just keep it like this and that person gets sent the email, this will literally just be the link right there to their cart. Now, if someone doesn't have anything in this field, it's going to just populate nothing. And so what we can do is we can copy this, and in ConvertKit, we can actually just put this as our button URL. And now, if I were to, this email was to actually go out live to that contact, when they click on that button, it's then going to look, okay, based on this contact, look at that field, and whatever field is, whatever the data is in that field, add that to the email for this contact. So when the contact clicks, it'll load up whatever the field is, which in this case is the link back to their cart. So I hope that makes sense. It's probably a lot to understand. I'm trying not to over-explain it, but I might be. If you have any questions, Soundee Discord.
So now we're going to go ahead and move on to free downloads. So this is very, very simple. There's nothing specific that you have to pull over. This is just name, email, and tag into whatever email marketing provider you're using. And then, of course, that tag should then start an email automation. So all you do is you go into trigger here, and then we'll do Soundee as per usual. Okay. And then for event, do email capture, click continue, choose your account. I'll just use my Sound Design account for this one. Click on continue, and then it's going to ask what type of capture type we want. We want to do free download, and then click on continue, and then we'll test it. Now, if you have no test, just go ahead and free download one of your beats. So click on continue, and then we'll go to ConvertKit. And as always, we want to add a tag to the subscriber. Like I said, this is the same pretty much for every email marketing provider. They should allow you as one of these events here to add a tag to a subscriber. Click on continue,
choose the account you have for whatever provider you're using. And then for the tag, right, we're gonna type in free download. Let me make sure, I don't think, yeah. Let me choose this one. And then for the tag, type in free download. There we go. And then for the email, just map the person's email. For the first name, just map the person's first name. And now you may have some different fields here. Like I said, these are all because of the Soundee launch program. None of these matter though. All you need is the tag, the name, and the email. And then that tag will like trigger the automation, and the email is the person's email. So the person gets the emails, and then click on continue. You can test it, then you publish it, and you are good to go. So I'll just skip the test here. And then all you would do is you click on publish. It'll take a second, and boom, there you go. That's the free download. And like I said, it's pretty much the same for any email marketing provider. Is just you're tagging people, and that tag starts an automation that you make on your end. Next up, let's hop into store email opt-in. And hopefully what you'll see once we get done this one, that, okay, this is all pretty simple now once you understand the main gist of this. So once again, we have our trigger of Soundee, and then the event is gonna be email capture. Click on continue, we'll choose our Soundee account. Click on continue, and then in the trigger type, we're gonna do store email opt-in. Click on continue, do test trigger. Now, if you don't pull any test data, you're gonna have to go to your store and essentially fill out the store email opt-in for yourself. And then once again, we'll do ConvertKit with our email marketing provider. We'll add a tag to the subscriber. We'll choose our account. Okay. And then for the action, I have a tag for store email opt-in that triggers the sequence that gives the person the 5 free beats, because that's what it was on my test store. And then the email, choose the email, the first name, choose the first name, and boom, there you go. You would then continue, you test it. I can just skip the test here and then publish it, and boom. So now anytime someone opts in on your store email opt-in, they're gonna go through the sequence and be added to your email marketing provider, and there you go. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is the exit intent email opt-in. So when someone goes to leave your page builder, and the pop-up pops up of, hey, do you wanna get 20% off your beat, right? You customize that. When someone fills that out, we need them to go into your marketing provider and be tagged with something that indicates the exit intent email opt-in, so that way they then receive the email automation that gives them the coupon, right? So trigger, once again, we'll do Soundee, and then you have email capture, choose your account, and as always, choose exit intent opt-in for this step. Then we have our test, as always, like I just said. Now, if you don't have any data here, you need to fill out your exit intent opt-in. So let me show you how to do that. So when you're in your store here, all you do is just go to Open Page Builder, and then go to exit intent pop-up and do test pop-up, and just enter in your stuff right there, and then enter it, and then just do the retest here, and it'll pull in that right away. So continuous selected record. Then we'll go to ConvertKit here. Once again, we want to add a tag to a subscriber, choose our accounts, and I make all my tags, as you can tell, pretty easy to understand. So the tag we have for our exit intent opt-ins is exit intent opt-in, and then all we do is map the email to the email, the name to the name, and then we'll test the step, right? And then in ConvertKit, timsmith@gmail.com will have been created in our accounts. And this is a previous contact that's already been created, so there's some other specific things here we have for the Soundee launch program that I'll explain more about later on in this video. But this is just the basics, so just ignore this stuff down here. But you can see it brought him over, Tim Smith, and then it's going to tag him with the exit intent opt-in, and then he'll start the sequence giving him the coupon or whatever you promised the exit intent opt-in to be. All right, so I just showed you guys the exit intent opt-in, and you'll see that, right, there's something called a win-back dynamic code, and it's the first name and then some random letters here.
What this is this is actually a personalized coupon in Soundee that is a limited time coupon that is legitimately limited time. And so I'm going to show you guys how to make personalized coupon codes that you can send to contacts that actually expire and whatnot. So let's take and build this out, and I'll show you how we'll do this. So I'm just going to make, we're just going to run through this again. So I'm just going to create a zap here, and we'll do this completely different. So the trigger is going to be the exit intent. So let's say like when someone does the exit intent pop-up for 20% off, I want the coupon to be their first name and random numbers. So let's show you how to do that. So I go to Soundee, email capture, right? The trigger is the exit intent opt-in. Okay, exit intent opt-in, cool. We'll do test. And so this will find Tim Smith. Now what I'm going to do is for the action, let me continue. For the action, I'm going to do Soundee again. And now what we can do is we can create a coupon. And so I'll click on continue. I'll click on continue here. And so let's run through this. So essentially a coupon name. So if we leave this blank, it'll be randomly generated, but we want to make a coupon based on the person's first name. So I'll choose first name. And then actually what I need to do is I need to go in and make a step here, and I need to do a formatter. Because what I want to do is I want to choose numbers, and I'm going to have this do random numbers. So I'm going to say choose a random number between 999 and 9999. Continue, test. It shows the number 1304. So I'll go back to this step, and I'll say the coupon name is going to be Tim hyphen the number output of 1304. Then for the discount type, I'll say this should be percentage for 20% off. I'll leave the start date alone. It'll trigger right away. I'm going to say never ends. That's false. I want it to end. I'm going to say in 6 days. Okay. And Zapier and Soundee will work together to where if I say in 6 days, it'll automatically look at whatever time it is right now and make the coupon end in 6 days. I'll say unlimited uses false. This coupon can be used one time. And then I can choose which stores I want to work on, product types, if you're selling beats, if you're selling kits. You can choose target licenses. So if you don't want this to apply to exclusive licenses, then what you would do is you would only select, let me just do it here, your basic license, you would choose your premium license, and you would choose your unlimited license, right? Those are the licenses on my test account, and I don't want this to apply to exclusives. So then I click on continue, and I'll test it. And now, give me a second, I'll go back to my Soundee account, and we should see a coupon made called Tim1304. So let me pause this real quick. All right, so I'm on Soundee. Let's go to coupons. Tim1304, 20% off, expires in 6 days at the time, right? Max total use of 1, and applies to those licenses only. Cool. So now what we need to do is we now need to, we need to trigger the exit intent email opt-in, but we also need to be able to give this coupon back to this person, and more importantly, back to every single person, every unique person who signs up. So this is when custom fields come back into our advantage. So I'm going to log into ConvertKit here, and what I'm going to do is go into one of my contacts here, and I'm going to make a custom field called test exit intent personalized coupon. Okay. And so what we'll do is I'll add a step here of ConvertKit. And for the event, add tag to subscriber like normal. Choose my account here. For action, we're going to do the tag of exit intent opt-in. That triggers the sequence. And then for the first name, we'll do email capture in Soundee, email. Oh, sorry, my bad. That should be for email. Do the email. For first name, do the first name in here. And then we have our test exit intent personalized coupon. Choose create coupon in Soundee, name, click on continue, and we'll test this step. So now, if I go back to here, right, we have Tim Smith here is already on my list with some test data. You'll see test exit intent personalized coupon code TIM1304. Okay. Now, what this means is that for every contact that now signs up for my exit intent opt-in, they go through this Zap step. So they're going to sign up. Zapier is going to generate random numbers. That's then going to be combined, the random numbers plus the first name of the contact, to create a 20% off coupon that ends in 6 days, can be used one time for only these licenses. Then it'll add each subscriber into ConvertKit, and it's going to add that coupon code as the test exit intent email personalized coupon code. So now let me show you guys how you would deliver this. So you'd make a visual automation here. Let's start from scratch. And we'll just start building. And this has to start based on the tag, which we know is exit intent email opt-in. Right? So this automation we're building will start when someone gets tagged with that, right? Everybody who opts into the exit intent email opt-in, that's what we are tagging them with. So that's how that lines up. Then we want to say do an email sequence, and we'll just do test exit intent email opt-in. Okay? And so we'll go in here and we'll just write the email. So we'll say, hey, personalization first name. Thanks for joining my list. Here is your 20% off coupon code. Or actually, here is your unique 20% off coupon code. And then what I'll do, right, is we need to pull in the dynamic code that's created for everybody. So we go to this personalization here, and we just select test exit intent personalized coupon, and then we'll bold this. So if I do preview email, and I do preview as subscriber, right, and I choose on Tim Smith, look at that. Now if I do another email that doesn't actually have one, you'll see it's just blank. But if I do Tim again, you'll see it pulls in Tim1304, right? And so each individual contacts that comes through now and has that coupon created for them uniquely, they'll see their coupon, right? And so hopefully I explained that well. Hopefully that was cool. That was something you guys were blown away by. But let's see if there's any more I can do for you guys.
Now, next up, we're going to get into post-purchase. So I'm going to kind of show you what data Soundee pulls in from the purchase. It's not just the basic name and email, and kind of some different ways and different things that you can do with this. So right away, we'll just do our Soundee here as our trigger. And then for the event, we'll do new transaction. Click on continue. We will select our accounts. And then for the transaction type, we'll do new sale, then continue. And now it's going to do a test, and here is our most recent transaction. And so I'm going to run through some stuff here. All of this stuff obviously isn't really important to you, but I'm going to run you through some things that are important that you can use in the email marketing process to set up. So it pulls in the gross of the sale. That's something that you could use to, you could put this data somewhere in like a Google Sheet for yourself. You could use different accounting software as well as I believe with this stuff to kind of help keep track of stuff. It pulls in things like the avatar logo, like you don't need that, but it pulls that in. Then it pulls in the customer's email, pulls in the first name. Then if we keep on scrolling here, we can see the date of the purchase. We can grab the receipt URL. And so in Soundee, when you actually go to the receipt URL, let me show you guys here. This receipt URL is actually pretty important because this is where artists can also upgrade their licenses if they purchased one of your more cheaper licenses. So what we do is, let me show you guys how this works, right? Is a lot of producers don't think that artists need to upgrade their license until they go over the streaming limits. But you could potentially upsell them on a discount of like, hey, you just bought this beat, but why not upgrade your license right now at a cheaper price with a discount? And so let me log in and I'll show you guys what I mean by this. So in our ConvertKit email marketing provider right here, right, we can look to see if someone has bought a basic license, which is the cheapest license on this dummy store, it goes into the upsell of where we give them a coupon to upgrade their license for 30% off. And so whenever someone clicks this, what it does is we use custom fields to store that receipt URL, which I'll show you. And then this person clicks the button to upgrade their license, and then they go back to their receipt for their most recent purchase, and then they can click here to upgrade their license, right? So that's that. Just keep on scrolling here. We can also keep track of what payment source they're using if you want to keep track of that stuff. And why you'd want to keep track of this is, let's say that you want to do some sort of separate offer or something kind of separate from a beat store for like more controllability, maybe like a funnel or something. You know, okay, hey, 90% of my purchases use Stripe or something. So it's like, if I make this new beat funnel on this separate platform, I definitely need to have Stripe. So that's a little bit more advanced, but like that's why you'd want to track that stuff into like a Google Sheet or something so you can keep track of that. You can also see which store it came from. So if you have multiple stores, this, once again, you can plug this into a Google Sheet of where you can keep track, and then you can run like a table or a chart and see, okay, 90% of my sales are coming from this store or something like that. You can also pull in to see how much lifetime spend they have with you. So here's another example of how we use this in the Soundee launch program. So we store that lifetime value, essentially lifetime spend, as a custom field. And let me pull it up here. So what we do is we look to see if they have a lifetime spend greater than 300. It then sends them an email about becoming like, hey, you're a VIP now. Here's a special offer for your next purchase, right? Because they spend a lot of money with us. And since we can track that, it can be automated. So once a returning customer makes over $300 worth of purchases, we can send an email like, hey, I really appreciate you. You know, you're one of my top customers. Here's 50% off for your next beat. Here's free mixing and mastering. Just reply back to this. Or just a general, hey, thank you. This means a lot to me, right? So you can track that. You can also track the number of purchases they have made if you want to do that as well. And then scrolling down, you can see what beat they purchased. You can see if it was a track. You can see if it's a service or a sound kit if you're selling multiple things. And then you can also pull the name of the license they purchased. Once again, we store that as a custom field because in our post-purchase automation here, right, we don't want to tell people who purchased an expensive license to upgrade because they got the most expensive license. So it looks to see, does this contact have the license name that's a basic license? If so, upsell them to an upgrade. If not, just say, hey, thanks for buying one of my higher tiered licenses. And so it's the same thing of, we go to our email marketing provider here, and what you'll see, this will now make sense. We'll do the add tag subscriber, and then we'll choose our account here, and we'll do the Soundee customer trigger is our tag for this. Then we fill in the email. Then we have the first name. And so what we can do is we can go to customer lifetime spend, and we'll just type in spend here. Sweet. That's mapped up. Date of purchase, what we can do is we can go to payment date. License name, we'll type in license. Oh, sorry. Items license name. And then receipt URL, we'll pull in the receipt URL. And so if I click on continue and I test this, we'll go into my ConvertKit here. Then we have this contact, and you can see it pulled over all this stuff of the basic name, and there's some extra data here from doing other purchases. And so just like that, right now we know this person has a basic license. Here's the receipt URL for their win back, or not their win back, for the upsell, I should say. And just like that, right now we have all this data moved over. And like I said, you can do a Google Sheet here as well, of where if you want to store other data points, like what payment processor they're using, what beats they purchased. So then you can even see, like, although on Soundee they will tell you your top selling beats on the homepage, You can also put this in a Google Sheet for yourself to track in different ways.
All right, guys, so that was the basic setup when it comes to Soundee and Zapier with an email marketing provider like ConvertKit. Now, if you have specific questions you have about this integration, go ahead and join the Soundee Discord and ask them there.